Hey, what's up, everybody? DDO44 coming at you another video. All right, so trying to figure out what I want to do in my next hour. I'm waiting for some food to cook, that kind of thing. Decided to save a little money instead of ordering out, even though I do have a taste for something else. I figured, nah, it'd be best to just hold the cash and wait it out for my food to cook here. So I figured I'd say, hey, what's up to everybody, man? What's going on? Hope everybody's having a good day. Of course, I got up early, did my little thing with the what they call is a psych evaluation, which is really 6 or 7 questions that she asked in a matter of 2 minutes, and that was it. And I went all the way down there, and it was over there where I used to go to church as a child, man. It's like right across the street from the Crenshaw Mall, that area. So it was a homecoming for me. I enjoyed the trip, but I just wish it didn't require me getting up at 4 in the morning in order to get there on time. But going down that area and seeing how everything's changed, it was just like mind-blowing, really, to be honest with you. We had a little heat wave going on for some random reason. I don't know what the heck is going on, but it was like 93 degrees. It was so bad that I didn't even walk down Lancashire on the way back home. I just decided to catch the bus. I was like, you know what, I'm exhausted. I had a headache for getting up early, and my stomach, I didn't feel like eating a full bowl of oatmeal, so that meant I ate a couple bites and that was it, earlier than I normally eat, so I was thrown off completely. Less food, less rest, all bad. So yeah, man, it was hot, man. That heat was burning the back of my neck. I was wearing a black shirt. I'm like, all right, man, I'm just gonna catch the bus. Only time this year I've done that, walking down Lancashire, but I just really didn't have it. So came home and showered and slept all throughout the course of between probably like 12:30 and like 4 o'clock, and it's probably about 5 or 6 now, something like that. And yeah, man, just got up and said, man, I want to eat a burrito, but I know it's going to cost a little money that I probably should just be saving right now, given everything that's going on with the government shutdown and everything. It's just not the time to be eating out. I know I'm probably going to want to eat out on Friday, but even then I should probably not eat out based on the circumstances. So yeah, man, just showing a little discipline right now, and that's it, man. I didn't feel like doing my Hunter's Blue. I still got a little bit of a head cold, headache type thing. I don't know what's going on, but figured I'd just give it a day. And so yeah, man, I feel like, all right, if I'm not gonna do any exercise, then what should I do? I don't feel like doing any art necessarily. Didn't have any new music come out for a playlist or anything. Didn't feel like that. Just turn on the camera, see what's happening, talk to people. And man, I mean, it's not like I don't have stuff to talk about, because it's a lot of footage coming out right now that's coming from Sudan, man. And the footage that's going around the internet is horrific. It's horrific, bro. They have blurred out some of the images, but like it's some real unalivings taking place on camera out there, and just some horrific energy. And as I've told people, man, and this is the truth. We talk about Israel and what's going on in Gaza all the time, but as I've said, that's not the only devil in the room, man. There are other people out there who may not have anything to do with Israel, who are doing Israel-like things in this world. And in that situation in Sudan, although I do think that there are there's a lot of evidence that this actually does trace back to Israel. They're funding a lot of these different things, and we talk about that, where warring factions in certain countries, they try to, these Western worlds, our country, and just their Western alliance, whatever that looks like, likes to use destabilization tactics to keep countries at odds with one another. And from what I understand, Sudan was one of the countries that was listed as an anti-Israel interest type country, a country that would likely pose problems for Israel. And not too long after that was established, then came all of this hell, and they got all these high-powered weapons, and they're doing all types of weird, cruel things to one another out there in Sudan. And so it may trace back to Israel and some of its affiliates, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, these are black folks in Sudan doing this to other Sudanese people from different tribes. And we say this about our black people and our indigenous people. It's one thing that we have to be honest about, and that is our willingness to tribalize, and then from there war with one another, fight with one another, be cruel to one another. And what we're seeing is just another form of that in Sudan, and it is some really ugly stuff. People killing children. You see people hanging, babies hanging, like just all types of stuff, man. People getting on camera saying, yo, if you have a problem with us R-wording people, if you have a problem with us taking land, if you have a problem with this, come see us in the field. Like I posted a short of a man who's out there, one of those Sudanese warriors out there essentially saying that, like, yo, if you got a problem with anything we doing, you got to come out here and hurt us. We out here in the battlefield. So if you want, our right is to do whatever we want to do. We're willing to die for whatever we choose. So if you have a problem with us, don't think you're going to win that war with words. That's essentially what he's saying. You got a problem with what we doing, come kill us. And like that's the type of monsters that are in this world, man. We got to be honest. That's, you know, our world is hurting. There are some wicked energies out here, broken energies out here, people who've raised one another for warfare and just evil. And we need to continue to raise not only awareness for those actions, but to shun those actions to the best of our ability, and to raise our children with the understanding of not passing that forward to their children, and doing what we can to promote healing in the world to whatever degree. So I hope that I can just be a drop in the bucket, man, to say, yo, this is what's going on. I'm on Instagram looking at some of my pro-Palestinian sites, and naturally, as we care about what's going on in Palestine, it too gives birth to a care for just all humanitarian things. And that's what we're finding out, you know, for all those people who are saying, oh, these pro-Palestinian people are terrorists, oh, they you know, all of these different things that they try to say to smear people who care about what's going on in Palestine. What you got to understand is these people care about what's going on anywhere. They care about what's happening anywhere there's any injustice. And because of it, they're raising awareness to the rest of us who care about what's going on in Palestine. They're also telling us what's going on in Sudan. They're also telling us what's going on in the Congo. They're also telling us about the Uyghur Muslims in China. They're also letting us know about different things that are happening. I heard about this, something called a baby farm. Though it couldn't have been, it wasn't able to be confirmed by the person who was telling us this. He was essentially saying he had gotten word that there was a baby farm syndicate in Nigeria where they literally take underage girls, see if they're healthy enough to give birth, and then put them in a space from which to have babies so they can sell those babies to people who are not able to have children. And that this is a business that's been going on in Nigeria for a very long time. First of all, there needs to be an understanding of what causes this type of indifference and desperation. Is not just greed, it's poverty. It's poverty that's given birth to these different ideas where people who are godless, who are starving, are essentially saying, yo, we'll do what we need to do no matter what it is. We don't care about selling our souls. We're just trying to get a meal. And I think that's what gives birth to a lot of these things. When you destabilize a country, you know, not everybody is sitting up here saying, how can I just sit here and starve instead of doing awful things? People will do awful things to feed their belly, especially if they've been starving for generations, suffering for generations, dealing with, you know, turmoil for generations. That is something that a lot of us who have our morals intact really don't relate to, so we don't understand how people can be so awful to one another. But year in, year out, and you remove a lot of the things that we take for granted, different things that just make our lives whole, and you insert the poverty and the frustration and the turmoil that a lot of these people have gone through, there's a lot of us who would be turning to things that we think in this life, in this way, we do things would be egregious. So that's the first conversation I think that needs to be had in regards to fixing these problems, is first understanding what these people have been going through and how far away we are from being able to relate to it. Then, instead of condemning them, trying to get to the root of how to fix some of the problems that are in these countries. You got to feed people. Make sure their bellies are full. Then they'll listen to you. You see what I'm saying? You can't tell a bunch of starving people to care about your moral compass. When you're sitting up here eating good and get to lay down in a comfortable bed, wake up and see what all your pastimes are, go to your wonderful job and all this and that, of course it's easy for you not to consider doing awful things to other people. You're not starving. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the first thing for me, is to not sit up here and condemn these people necessarily for the horrible things that we're seeing, but more so feed the belly first. Then tell them, hey, there's a different way. Hey, this is what we understand to be awful. And it brings about bad energy into your life. These are things that bring about suffering. Should you not care about someone else's suffering as you want us to be concerned with yours as we feed you? If we can come to a space where first we care too. And you want people to, at different levels of depravity and suffering, to care about the suffering of the people they're harming. We too have to understand that our indifference to all of them is just a different version of what it is that they're showing to one another. You know, and that's what it is. We get so caught up in our own comforts. And look, in this country, a lot of us are so comfortable with seeing people deported, seeing people, ripped out of the arms of the children, ripped out of the arms of their parents because they don't have paperwork. That type of indifference that we engage in. And then we look over at people who are forcing other people into terrible situations in other countries, and we're just so appalled. It's like, no, the indifference is indifference. What your norms are and your moral compass is, it varies from different culture to different culture. At the end of the day, a person's indifference to someone else's suffering, it begins and ends there. Then we get into the details of what it is we'll accept and won't accept as people in our various societies and cultures. So let's overcome and heal from the indifference. Let's feed people who are suffering, who are doing things we can't get with, and then find a way to change the culture around them, change the culture around us to just not be indifferent. And I think that's what the sacrifice, and I say this word with a whole lot of respect, that's what the sacrifice of this genocide has been. It's to awaken a self-awareness to the indifference within all of us in this Western world. Those of us who would otherwise care about what's going on in other places need to first be pointed toward those things. We need to understand that we don't understand. We need to understand that we cannot relate, and that what applies to us and our range of motion, so to speak, and what it is we can do may not be available to those people. So to not apply our outrage without also applying a certain respect for what it is that we can't relate to. I think both are important when trying to get to a bottom of this and get to a solution of what some of these world's problems. And removing ignorance from our own society, and then empowering and educating everyone in our own society. Then we can turn our attention to how we feed and reach other people in other places. First have to want to, and I don't think there's enough people in this country, specifically America, which fuels a lot of the world's problems, care enough or understand that not what you experience can be applied to everyone, not what you know and your moral compass, so to speak, and what your options are. The range of motion, as I like to say it, is available to everybody else. That context needs to be thrown into the conversation here a little more. Context to know that, hey, I can't apply what they're going through to my life because I'm afforded things that these people are not afforded. I have things that distract me away from my most negative thoughts that are not in their society. I have outlets and healing promoted within my cultures and things that ultimately encourage me to stay away from the worst of things that maybe they don't have in their cultures, And I think about that in just every different way. The things that I most appreciate, the things that have been said to me in art and in life and through my mother and the people I've known that have made it so that I care about other people and to understand that, those people they didn't have that. I think about some of the songs that most inspired me, that I grew up listening to, that inserted a certain amount of substance to my personality and to my way of life. And I realized those people ain't never heard them songs. You know what I mean? They never experienced that. They never watched those movies that touched my heart, that made me change the way I was doing things. You know what I mean? This is a lot of stuff that we're afforded here that molds who we are. that our fellow man may not have been exposed to, even right next to us in certain situations. People who haven't heard, that is a bad concept. That, they haven't been told, hey, you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? And that is a context that I think from person to person here in America, we don't tend to apply to other people. A lot of us seem to think that whatever it is that we have and what it is that we've seen, we just assume everybody else has seen it. Don't even apply that thought at all to question whether or not they have. We just assume that what we were taught is what everyone else is taught, and that they don't move the way that we agree with. It's just a dereliction of their of what it is they were raised with. In a lot of cases, that is absolutely not the case. And so we need to continue to raise awareness. There needs to be more and more people using their voice all over the world, and more people who are not paying attention, turning their attention toward what's going on, becoming more intentional on doing so. And I was encouraged today because I was posting some things on my story, and I saw some new people checking out my story that I know I've supported their work or whatever, their pictures and stuff like that. People who I've been going on their story, and they don't post anything about humanitarian stuff. They post mostly themselves, you know what I mean? Post whatever they like, their art or what have you. I've seen a few people that I've been able to expose some topics that I don't know if it's in their lives or not. I don't know if they care about these things or not. But that's why I do what I do, because I think within my way of doing things, I can reach a different audience. With a lot of what it is my humanitarian stuff is about, the people that I follow online, they're not interested in that stuff. They're more secular, they're more, interested in image and stuff like that. But if I can get them to just click on my story, it will insert seeds of understanding that it should be okay to care about these things while you're living your life and enjoying whatever it is you're enjoying. It's okay to check out some things that tell you what's going on in the rest of the world, and to actually care about what's going on in the rest of the world. And I think that that's what needs to happen from person to person. Those of us who have interests in different things need to be incorporating this type of substance into what it is that we talk about and we expose to others, which is why I do my channel the way that I do. We can talk about the Lakers on my channel, and if you happen to like the Lakers and you click on another one of my videos, you're going to see us having conversations like this. It bridges that gap between those who would be interested in other things and those who would then be curious about what's going on in the world, the social circumstances, humanitarian circumstances. And that's really what it is. We are all human beings. We're all in a space where we're going to need people to care about our lives in order for our environments and for our lives to be okay. If not care, at least leave us alone and not do horrible things to us in order for us to live in a space from which peace can be found. So it shouldn't be something that we just not interested in when considering humanitarian conversations and social conversations. We should be very much all interested to one degree or another in what goes on with human beings in this world. So that's really what it is that I'm trying to normalize with my actions and the way that I do things. Using my voice for truth, using my voice for raising awareness, using my voice for also talking about whatever I enjoy, and hopefully gathering people together for both topics. So, yeah, man, I was encouraged by that. Seeing some people that I know aren't interested too much in this type of stuff, just happen to be curious about what I am posting based on my support for them. And, just showing support for me, and in turn, learning some things, hopefully, that they weren't finding anywhere else. And that's hopefully what I'm able to do with my Instagram account. So, yeah, man, I just wanted to get on here and tell people, man, there's some real stuff going on in this world that we haven't talked a lot about because we're not as up on it. It's not because we don't care. It's just because we haven't done enough homework, or it hasn't been exposed to us as much. But when you talk about what's going on in Sudan, there's a lot more people dying there than in Gaza. We care a great deal about what's going on in Gaza. But we need to turn our attention as well to Sudan, because if we're going to care about human beings, we got to care about everybody. It can't just be those folks over there and then 7 times more people dying over there. We don't care. And I think that, being raised in a Western society in America, we tend to other black features. And it's a part of our culture, this racist, embroidered culture that we've had, where we tend to either make fun of black features or make fun of black people, or just cast them aside, especially if they're from Africa or somewhere else, where we're so used to them dying, we're so used to them being hungry, we're so used to seeing commercials of their children with big stomachs because they're starving. It's just understood that they're going to suffer and they're other, and that doesn't have anything to do with us. Thank God it's not us. We keep eating. But it gets to a point where it's like, yo, if you're going to care about what's going over there, if you want to care about what happened on October 7th, you call yourself a humanitarian to whatever degree, yet let your hypocrisy meet you in the mirror. If you look at a bunch of people who have dark skin and big noses and all of this, and you don't care about their children dying, or you become desensitized to their suffering because you always see them suffer. This is the concern that we see in Gaza as well. We don't want to get to a point where we see so many of these people dying, so many of the children dying, till you start equating suffering with the people and no longer thinking it's useful that you support the ending of that suffering. You just think, oh, well, those people suffer forever. You know, it's how I was raised to think that in the Middle East, these people have been fighting since the biblical days. So it's no sense or no use in getting involved. Like, that's what I was taught by my own mother, who had a wonderful heart, who cared about a lot of things, but she was raised in a structure where that was what they were taught. Now, yo, the Middle East been fighting since the biblical days. This is a biblical war. They're not going to stop. No, that's not true. That's not true. What the truth is, what you find out is there are a lot of different things that come together to make it so that people are fighting over there. And people aren't only fighting over there. They're raising families. They have something to offer, and they need to be connected with and fed if they're starving. And that is how we are changing the world today. We're erasing what created the indifference within us that we just brush aside as not even indifferent, but just natural. That's not natural. You do want to see healing in places that you don't exist in, just like you want to see peace in the spaces that you exist in. And that is truly humane, in my opinion. Anything less than that is inhumane. And that is what I would want to teach my children. Instead of what was taught to me, but there's no use in looking over there, there is very much use in looking over there. And if you believe in a living God, then you know he can empower great things from within you to change things that are going on in the world. And that same mother of mine told me that my prayers can move mountains. Well, if that's the case, then there's no sense in me turning away from something that otherwise I was raised to think I can do nothing with. If I can move mountains with my prayers, I too should be able to do something about what's going on over there. So we got to be able to think for ourselves instead of staying in that space that has taught us how to be indifferent to the suffering of others. Because a lot of stuff that we see, we don't care about because we've been taught unassumingly, if that's the way to put it, or just like as a byproduct of our natural way of thinking, not to be concerned with. And that is what you're seeing in other areas when people around you may not have any interest in what's going on in Gaza. When people around you may not have no interest in talking about what's going on outside of their bubble. It's not just that they are indifferent, it's that they've been taught through different seeds that have been planted in their minds collectively that it's no use, that they can do no good, and that ultimately it's normal for those people over there to suffer. It's normal for those people over there to starve. And if you want to do something about it, then pour some money into some things that you see and then keep on living your life. But now, the world that we have with this device era we're in, where we can hold a camera, no, you get to use your voice. You get to do a lot more than just donate to save the children. You feel me? So that's what it is that I'm trying to do. We're trying to change the world in that regard. We're trying to normalize the environment where we have these conversations, where we care about people that look all different types of ways, not just people that look a certain way. You know what I mean? And we're going to deteriorate the seeds that have been planted in our hearts and make us care only about some and not about others, or that our voices can do no good or what have you. You know what I mean? And so that's really what it is about for me, man. I want to thank everybody for allowing me to do what it is I do. I'm not looking to gain too much fame or anything for myself in any way. If I were to get famous, I would not want my voice to be about exalting myself, but more so raising awareness for these type of things, and just let the chips fall where they may, as it pertains to my own legacy or what have you. But that's really what I wanted to say, man. Free everybody that's going through any type of persecution. Feed anybody who's hungry out there. People who are starving, who don't have hope. Let's continue to try to expand our ability to reach people with substance. Share, that's really what it's about. We got to share more culture. We got to share more understanding. We got to share more concern, and that's ultimately what I'm trying to do. So that's pretty much what I want to say to you. I appreciate everybody for watching BDF 44.